Other Julia here. I'm just popping in real quick before the video starts to let you know that I'm releasing the name of one of the giveaway winners at the end of today's video, so be sure to stick around to the end of the video if you want to see if you won. If you haven't had a chance to enter the pre-order giveaway, there is still time, so click the link in the description to pre-order A Weighted Soul and Other Dark and Twisted Tales, and then click the other link in the description to enter your proof of purchase, and then you'll be entered to win. Good luck, and I'll see you at the end of today's video. Hi guys, Julia here. Today, as you can see, we're in a bit of a different space because I am with the awesome illustrator for A Weighted Soul and Other Dark and Twisted Tales, Crina Magalio. So Crina, can you say hi?
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. So we are just gonna go through a couple of questions and kind of get her side of what it was like working on A Weighted Soul, because this was kind of my first time doing something like this, and she was awesome to work with, and I want you guys to see her perspective and kind of see how it went. So first off, Crina, could you take some time to introduce yourself and kind of talk a little bit about your previous work?
Yeah, of course. Hi, so I'm Crina Magalio. I'm actually a digital illustrator, book illustrator, and a pet portrait artist. A lot of it is all digital. I actually did move into digital work in 2016, so I've been using a lot of Adobe Photoshop, InDesign, and Illustrator for pretty much 4 years. So I graduated with a BFA in illustration from Maryland Institute College of Art and Design in Baltimore, Maryland. And most of my work is some of my work is a lot of cartoons, kids books, pets, but this one is obviously different. So with the book that I did for Julia, a lot of it was all black and white, and I know we'll get more into that with pretty much down in the line.
I was confident that she would be able to take on the challenge, and you went above and beyond, Crina, so awesome job.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I was extremely excited to do it. This was like a year ago.
Yeah,
This really was a year ago.
yeah, it was probably just about a year ago, because I remember I was thinking about it for like a month, where I was like bouncing ideas off of my parents, and I was like, do you think this would work? Like, does this make sense? And they were like, you know what, just go for it and see what happens. And I'm so glad I did, because this worked out so well. So as I was saying, this is very different to kind of the other things that you've worked on in the past. What were your first thoughts when you decided to agree to do this collection?
So I was actually a good question. I was extremely excited because this had a really, when I read the first draft of what you sent me, it had a really nice thrill of suspense. And the thing is, I love seeing that as well, especially in your books. So when I looked at it, it was like it had a great sense of unease, very chilling. I was just excited to actually like work with you because you already made two books, and this was kind of a new challenge for me, so I was extremely excited. Also, I do love a lot of black and white horror films, film noir, so I was like, oh, finally, I could do something. But that's just a little bit about what I like to draw.
Just to give everyone a like kind of an idea of what I provided Crina to work with, I basically gave her a document with an overview of each of the stories and then a sample of the work from each of the stories. And they all have very different feels. And it was really cool because looking at like Crina's past work and kind of comparing it and everything, I could kind of see she has a very distinct feel to each of her pieces, and her art overall has like a very unique feel. It was really cool to see that kind of moving in like the horror directions. Kind of bouncing off of that, what were you most excited and or nervous for taking on this new challenge?
Yeah, of course. So what I was excited about was making black and white illustrations. So a little bit of my experience with like black and white medium and illustration, I actually used to make a lot of that with black charcoal and ink, like an India ink. And this is when I was back in Mica. I pretty much like got really into doing a lot of black and white illustration. Of course, charcoal is very messy and ink's very messy. So then I moved into digital work, and then I, did it all black and white. So I was just really excited to finally do something with like a grayscale and black and white tone, because obviously that worked best for the story. And what was so nice is that it was like kind of like what I really wanted to do as well. Well, again, I do a lot of children's books, and I love doing that as well. So I love doing both full color and black and white. But finally, I got to do black and white after a very long time.
Yeah, and I was actually, right before we started this interview, I was talking to her. I was a little concerned because I'd never worked with Ingram Spark before, my printing company, with like printing illustrations and things. But looking at how it looks like in the actual book, it's so cool to see them in person, and they're so vibrant, and it looks awesome. So I'm very excited for you guys to see it. So overall, you had 7 illustrations to complete. So there were 1 per story, and then there's 1 extra one at the end that our readers will be able to see. Out of those, do you have a favorite one that either was most challenging or most rewarding to complete?
So one of my favorites was actually Children of Shadows. And the reason why is kind of a few reasons. So, since I've done a lot of children in previous book projects, I kind of like the idea of drawing kids' proportions, but as shadows. And then here's another this is kind of obscure, but I wanted to draw a creepy school hallway. So Julia might know this, but like when there's like a band concert and students are packing up all their instruments and the concert's over, there's always a weird like time period where everyone's going home and the school is like they turn the lights off and it's really spooky. And that's kind of what I liked to draw for this one, like just something really weird about this school hallway and then the kids on the wall. So I just thought it was kind of cool and I was very excited to like draw something really creepy at a school, and of course with like little kids but kind of not kids. Like it was just so cool to draw. But again, sometimes some band students might know that feeling of like, oh, the school's kind of closing down for the night. Something's off about this. It's like so weird. It's a weird feeling.
It's funny because I didn't know that was your inspiration, kind of looking at it, but
Yes.
looking at it now, it makes total sense.
So what I was really nervous about was getting the right tone, and I pretty much wanted to make sure that I didn't go into like that cutesy cartoon children's book illustration where I used a lot of bright colors. It was more happy, well, more of a happy tone. So what I had to do was kind of just like throw that all out and just start over, black and white, totally new. Maybe even watch a few horror movies. I'm serious. Like that's what I kind of had to get into that mood, just like get into it. And I also got like kind of worried about making it too cartoony, but it's kind of something about it is like so off. That's why I think, like drawing the way I did, something was so off about it. Like it does look, it's not a realistic way of drawing, but it's more of I would say like a graphic way of drawing, and that's kind of worked best. So I use more of a graphic tone and then make it look eerie as well.
It works perfectly. So for Children of Shadows, basically like the basic plot for anyone who hasn't read the book yet, because at this point the book will be out in a couple of days, so you guys will be able to see it very soon. But Children of Shadows is basically about this school, and it's an elementary school that was shut down years ago, and a couple of kids break in and they find that there are these shadows painted on the wall. They're silhouettes of these children, and at first they think it's just creepy, the silhouettes by themselves, but then they realize that there's something else about the silhouettes that might make it seem a little bit more than just a painting on a wall. So I'm super excited. That's one of my favorites. That was the one that's, I think, most like classic horror. So it's been really cool to work on. So yeah.
Yep.
We've talked about the actual like inspiration from the collection, a little bit of inspiration from other things. Were there other particular like artistic pieces or other like specific movies that you kind of drew inspiration from to work on this collection?
Yes. So besides a lot of, I would say like 1930s horror movies by James Whale. Again, I'm getting into it because since it's Halloween, I'm trying to watch a lot of classic horror movies. They were all in black and white. The biggest inspiration I got was from like a series of books called Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. To give a little bit of background, those were written by Alvin Schwartz. And the illustrations were done by an artist named Stephen Gamble. I probably didn't pronounce that right. So those are like, they're just really short stories and they were written for kids. But I'm going to be honest, the illustrations had a very like, I think he made it with charcoal or ink. A lot of like, he actually purposely used these like ink splatters to work with the illustration. And let me tell you, these illustrations were they were very gory looking. There wasn't a lot of like human body gore, but it was just like really creepy. And I was like, this is for kids. I read it when I was about like 10 to 12. It was so cool. I mean, I was scared of them, but like it was so cool to see these black and white, very graphic, just extremely creepy looking faces. The attention to detail was amazing. So if you guys can look it up, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, Alvin Schwartz, and look up Stephen Gamble's illustrations. That's kind of my main inspiration because I've read those books. They
It's
were
so
really scary and they were amazing to look at. I think I just looked at the drawings, to be honest.
it's so funny because I had that book as
Yeah.
well growing up, and it's the stories themselves are cool, and like they're like the classic like straight horror, but like the oh my gosh, the illustrations just add another level to it. And there were a couple of different, like when I was getting the inspiration for kind of working with illustrations and considering putting them in the collection, that was actually one of the collections I considered, as well as another one called the Monster Calls, I believe. There's a bunch of really awesome horror collections that like I don't know, it's just something about like reading horror and then seeing it and then like seeing it come together. It just like it adds another level.
Yes. Yeah.
So now it's funny, well, people are only seeing A Weighted Soul and your illustrations for it right now, but we actually finished this up a long time ago, months ago, and it's finally coming to fruition. So is there anything that you're currently working on, any new projects?
Well, working to get through COVID first. In all seriousness, so what I'm trying to do is I do a lot of personal work for myself, as well as I'm doing some pet portraits for a few family friends as well. And all of it's digital too. It's just easier for me to pretty much make on time and to pretty much get to my clients as well. With personal work, so now since it's Halloween, I'm really obsessed with Halloween, but also the next two holidays coming up, Thanksgiving and Christmas. So every season, I do make a lot more, spooky, fun Halloween illustrations, just because I really enjoy doing that. And specifically, I use a lot of these cartoon animal characters and I put them in Halloween costumes, or I just experiment with different color schemes for Halloween. So that's kind of what I do on my own. When I'm not doing pet portraits, I do a lot of that personal artwork as well.
Yeah, I've been tagging Crina's Instagram a lot, but if you guys haven't had a chance to check it out, I'll put it in the description as well. She posts some really cute stuff. I love seeing it all themed to the different seasons and everything. It
Yeah,
brightens up.
that's yeah.
And I was gonna say, you mentioned like you've been doing this for quite some time now, but I know that a lot of friends that are either aspiring artists or they're kind of struggling right now to find inspiration among all of this chaos. So do you have any recommendations for aspiring artists?
Yeah, of course. This is kind of general info, but it's very important. So a lot of artists will get this. Keep drawing hands. Keep practicing your hands, eyes, and face. That's always really important. I struggle with drawing hands, but I got to keep practicing it. So it's really important just to keep practicing. The next thing is that you always need to use photo reference. You think you know what it looks like, but you should really always use photo reference. It just helps. It's just going to be a helpful tool. And then the other thing I'll say is always keep a sketchbook with you. I have like little tiny sketchbooks with me. You never know where inspiration will come from, even though a lot of us are sometimes inside or we're on doing online school. Just keep a little sketchbook. You can doodle. It's fun and it's kind of healthy. So those are really like the main three that I've always focused on. So I'm hoping that does help aspiring artists.
Yeah, well, I think that sounds like great advice, and it's really funny because like I see kind of all types of art are connected, and for writing, one of the biggest recommendations for writers is to keep like little notebooks around
Yeah.
to write down inspiration. So maybe we're not so different after all.
No, no. Writers and artists will keep books with them. And it's so cool. One thing I'll say is that just keep a stack of them and just look through them. Because honestly, the coolest thing is that sometimes you write stories down or little scenes. Always look back at those because those will inspire you.
And last but not least, in case people would like to learn a little bit more about you and your work, where are the best places for people to go?
Best place is my Instagram and artist website. So it's CrinaMagalioArt.com. I can even spell it out, CRINAMAGALIO art.com. And then there's also the link to Instagram. So my handle is at Crina. I don't know if it's like a dash or a space, Magalio dash illustrate. My picture will actually pop up. But you can always access those links on my website, thecrinamagalioart.com. Just go through, just look under the contact me, and then you'll actually see my Instagram right there too. So I would say those are the two top ones I use the most.
All right, so it has been awesome talking with you, Crina. Thank you so much for coming in. A Weighted Soul and Other Dark and Twisted Tales is coming out on November 18th, so be sure if you haven't pre-ordered already. I've been giving out one pre-order giveaway a day, which is super exciting, so be sure that if you haven't pre-ordered already, do that. A Weighted Soul is available in ebook and in paperback, and in both editions you will be able to see Crina's awesome artwork. So don't worry, no matter what format you get, you'll be able to see it. Thank you for stopping by. Bye.
Thank you.
Hi guys, I'm back to announce the winner of today's video. The winner of the pre-order giveaway for today is this person. Congratulations, you've won a Barnes & Noble gift card, so I will be reaching out to you to get your address. Congratulations on winning, and I hope you enjoy A Weighted Soul.